You know, sometimes it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, cause so many things that go against us. But it's something inside our spirit that just keep us marching forward. We gon' be alright. We gon' be alright.
What's up, my guy?
What's up, bro?
How
Long
you
time
been?
coming. I'm good. How you?
I'm feeling good. I'm happy to be in the city.
Yes, sir. Back home.
Yes, sir, Ski. How you doing? Like, when I talk to you, it's always important for me to ask you to just how are you as a person and are you happy?
I'm good for the most part.
Yeah.
I think that whenever, because you ask people that question a lot, like it's just kind of like a formality, and I stopped answering it like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I started to take notice of what my response was, I started to become aware of how I actually was.
Right.
So right now, I can actually say that I am good with everything, all the changes that I'm making right now, to kind of just balance and fight back with what life is giving me. I think I'm good. I'm pretty good by God's grace.
I always ask you that, right?
Nah.
I always ask you that, bro, because I feel like I work just as hard as you. I would like to assume. And so I can see that gene of like, you always busy, always trying to account for something, always around.
Yeah.
I know sometimes like for myself, like I don't stop to like check in to see like what I need or like if I've been eating properly, if I've been working out, or if I even just been sleeping.
Right.
And I see you, bro, the way you grind, like you always doing something. Before the cameras came on, like you got like 5 different titles.
Yeah, bro.
And you had a 9 to 5 before this, so
Yeah.
it's like juggling all that. I just be wanting to check in with you, bro, to make sure you're good. You're a good person too. You're
Thank
a
you,
giver.
bro.
And I think that's what sets you apart in your space is like, I feel like I seen you work with me all the time, from like logos to anything I ask you for. You could be charging like crazy prices. You could easily say no to a lot of things, but I see the way that you always been and contort yourself to fit the needs of the people around you. So I think it's important for us as creatives to recognize that and make sure that we always giving you your flowers and reciprocate those check-ins to you, bro. So I appreciate you.
Nah, that's love, bro. I appreciate that and like you pointing that out because I definitely am like always on the move.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we really had the conversation, but the reason why I kind of stepped away from my 9 to 5 is because I felt like God was telling me that I needed to slow down and that me doing so much was indicative of not trusting him and his plan and that he would always make a way. So I got away from kind of branding myself as a hard worker or like someone that's always working because that lifestyle does not glorify him.
Right.
So lately I've been slowing it down. Like, I used to be up editing till like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I call it a night at 11:30.
Right.
I'd be like, whatever I gotta do, God will have there for me tomorrow. Like tomorrow's not always promised, but I'm gonna trust that he's gonna wake me up the next day to pick up right where I left off.
Right.
So, and even in the sense of, like you said, like I could be charging crazy prices for what I'm doing. I like to make sure that people understand that I don't see them as a price point, but more so I see you as a person who needs me in order to elevate.
Right.
So for that reason, I'd rather you see more value in me as a person than in my work.
Yes.
So that I like that you said that because I'm even starting to tell people I'm the people's photographer.
Right.
Like I'm here to work for you, not necessarily to work for myself and get your money, you know?
And that's the hard part, bro, because you're not even just a photographer. So for those that don't know, this is my guy Sam, otherwise known as SKD.
Yes, sir.
I would like to call him a multi-hyphenate creative and tastemaker. But if you could just explain everything that you do to the people, feel free, bro.
Okay. So I think right now my main thing is photography.
Right.
I do graphic design on occasion. My LLC began as a graphic design one. I think I'm just overall immersed in the arts. So the first art form that I was in was singing. I started that in 5th grade. Then I actually went into architecture. So I graduated from Temple with a degree, bachelor's in architectural design.
Wow.
Through architecture and having to create my portfolio and my presentations is how I got into graphic design. And through seeing how I could manipulate graphics, I started to kind of blend that into the world of photography and kind of pairing the two. A lot of my photography work, I'm starting to get into more of the graphic side of it and the post-production. So photography, and now I'm starting my jewelry accessories line.
Yeah.
So we all over. Yeah.
I'm always interested in this, bro. Like, we all African. We West African to be specific. How did your parents nurture your creativity? Because it seemed like if you're interested in all these things, it's not something that just start overnight. Like,
Yeah.
what was you watching as a kid? What were you seeing? And then how did your parents nurture those gifts in you?
It's funny because I went to a boarding school.
Yeah.
So I lived at home until I was about 12. And I think 3 days before my 13th birthday, I started at Milton Hershey School. And I think prior to that, the only, actually, let's rewind. The first time I realized that I could sing, I was on the phone with my best friend at the time. I was living in Georgia, and Party in the USA came on.
Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, and I'm just, it's in the background, and we on the phone, and nobody talking, so I'm just singing. Singing. He like, yo. I'm like, what? He like, you sound like Miley Cyrus.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a little boy, I got this high voice. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
He like, yeah, bro, you can sing. I'm like, really? He like, yeah. So then from that, I just took it and ran with it. And then I got enrolled in choir classes, and then from that, I started writing my own music. I was in like gospel choir. I was in the school's praise band. I kind of went on with that into musical theater.
Yeah.
So I think just allowing myself to identify who I was through those forms allowed me to just keep going. It's like, okay, I found out this by myself through singing. I found out this by being on the stage. Like, let me see what else I can do.
Yeah.
Then once I started doing photography, I'm like, yo, I think I really have an eye for aesthetic. I'm like, let me take that a step further. Let me go into the aesthetics of people, and let's start working with jewelry. So I don't think that my parents necessarily nurtured it, but they supported it once they saw it. Like, my parents started calling me SKD.
Wow.
You know?
So your parents gave you that name.
Yeah.
That's
and so
fire.
and it's my initials as well. So, but you know, like in the African community, you always hear the doctors, lawyers, and stuff like that. And my parents knew I could sing, and like I don't think they ever glorified it. Like, it was like, okay, you can sing, but once I started posting my videos on Instagram, I saw. I went to WhatsApp and I saw my parents' status. I saw my face. And I'm like, what's this about? I click on it and it was like, go SKD. And I'm like,
they were supporting you, bro.
You know? It meant a lot because it wasn't a conversation that we had, and I never felt like their support was absent. But to see it was like, okay.
That's a whole different ball,
you know?
bro.
Yeah. So it just verified for me that no matter what I do, my parents are gonna support. They're gonna back that. Yeah, they never.
You know what that does to a kid, bro?
And I think I took it for granted. I took it for granted because it's like you want that from your parents. So once you get it, you just hold on to it. But I never thought about what if it wasn't there.
Bro, I experienced that. What if it wasn't there? And it wasn't that like. I don't think my grandmother didn't support me. For one, it's a generational gap. Like, I'm not being raised by my mom. I'm being raised by my mom's mom.
Right.
So her understanding of my world and my point of view, it's going to take some tug and pull to get there, especially when you clinging on to West African cultural ideals. So it was a lot of things. Even like playing sports, bro, for my grandma, like to play sports, to play football, to play basketball, bro, it was a fight. I don't know what it was with her, but if it wasn't church school, it was like a hard time for her to like, just, you know, peel back to let her like support me. It wasn't until like when I went to college and I started to become recognized for things that were, I guess, like aligned with our cultural identity, such as a lot of the community work, speaking at school and stuff like that. That's where I started to notice, see like, oh, I could get behind this.
Yeah. I like that.
So I started to see like a different side of her. And like you said, bro, that confidence, that really like unlocks a kid to know that like, yo, if your parents support you, like if what you're doing is pleasing in their sight, like, yo, I could do anything.
Exactly.
And I feel like it also like it breeds a different type of confidence where you don't really care about the validation of people in the world. Like you build up tougher skin because it's like we come from a tough culture in itself.
If only people
so
knew,
if you can
bro.
make it through that, I feel like you can make it through anything.
If only people knew, bro. Like it's the stigma of Africans and like the African households, like it's like y'all see it, but y'all don't feel it.
Right.
Y'all don't feel what that does, bro. Oh, man,
bro, it was so many decisions I wanted to make. I don't know if you experienced this, bro. I would just hear my grandma, I'm like, something she said to me in the back of my brain, and I'd be like, I can't do this. Like, it's not for me. So like, I took risks, and I won't say I was the perfect kid, but like it was calculated. I knew what I could get away with, and I knew what I couldn't for sure.
Nah, 100%. And even like being at boarding school, like my parents was always there. Like they would call and check in. Like if my dad would threaten me, like if I had a B, he'd be like, "You about to go back to Ghana?" Like you about to, and I'm like, damn, for a B? This is crazy. But you know, like, and my mom, one thing she would always tell us is like, you're going to school for school. You're not going to school for friends.
Yeah.
And then in that same vein, she was like, but while you're there, make sure you're being yourself.
That's what's up.
So
man.
anything that I would do, that's what I would hear in the back of my
Yeah.
head. Make sure you're being yourself. Make sure you're being yourself. But then when it came to you're not going for friends, it started to like cause like, you know, you're seeing everybody being all close and they got their mans and stuff like that. And then for me, I'm just second guessing like, my mom told me I'm not here for friends. Like, am I supposed to trust you, you know?
Yeah.
And trust in the African community is a whole
It's a
other
whole
thing.
thing.
But
one thing I admire about you too, bro, is that like you really are the definition of a socialite. Like I see you touch every crowd of people. Like it don't matter, and you do it so seamlessly and comfortably. Like I just want you to speak to that when you talk about being yourself, but also being able to respect and appreciate that in others. Where does that originate for you?
I think that I would say once again, my parents, first of all, because my parents are very known socially in Ghana. So watching them be recognized by people wherever we were, and then that recognition then kind of falling on me, it kind of told me like, you got to always be on.
Right.
Like you can't never be off because somebody's going to recognize you and you're going to have to be ready
Right.
for whatever conversation. Like, and so I think that watching my parents navigate the social scene, I took a lot of cues from them.
Yeah.
One thing that everybody will always say is, bro, you need an outfit for everything.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom told me, she's like, do not rewear an outfit.
Yeah.
And if you rewear an outfit, make sure nobody recognizes it or any picture. So
I gotta change my fit after this.
That's why.
You right. That's why I brought it,
You
bro.
see, you ready though. You ready. But like, it's so like, if I like, let's say if I rewear something that's on my gram, the picture goes down.
Wow.
The picture, if I'm out in it, the picture goes down, and then once I'm, you know, a little time's passed, if I really like the picture, I put it back up.
I'll tell you something about me.
What's up?
I'm the king of rewearing fit.
Bro, and the thing is, I also like, I told somebody the other day, like, I remember everything that a person wears.
Yeah.
Like, I remember it to a T. So it's
I'm
like,
the same way, bro. I be hoping that when I get dressed, I hope people don't remember that.
Exactly. So it's like, because I know somebody gonna remember.
Right.
So it's like, I make sure I dot my T's and I cross my.
You said it right.
Okay, whatever
Wait.
it is. Yeah, no.
We got it.
Let's go. Okay, yeah. But yeah, so then, and even then, it's like, I started to realize the power of the social scene as it pertains to your business.
Yeah.
The more that, in my personal opinion, the more that people know about you, the more that they feel connected to you, the more they trust you to then care for what it is that they care about.
Wow.
So it's like, when I realized that I could make people comfortable in conversation when they're talking about their visions, it's like, okay, I understand that you understand that I care about this.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I can translate the care that I showed you in the conversation to then how I carry out the process with you. And it's, you know, sometimes, and you can even, there was times where, you know, I worked with you where I may have fallen short in terms of meeting a deadline or getting something to you when I said that I would, but I always made sure that I compensated for it in some way, shape, or form by giving you more or something and like making sure you understood this wasn't about just getting the product to you. It was making sure that you had a great experience with me. Like the experience with me mimicked the conversation that allowed you to trust me.
Right.
So I noticed that as long as I navigated the conversation well in a social aspect, like business would boom. Business would boom. And that even with my photography business, like I started because it was during COVID, it was September 2020, my dad had a camera. And I was like, he bought the camera for my high school graduation, he wasn't using it. So I'm like, can I just like see what I could do with this? And once I started saying that I was doing photography, all of my friends was coming to me, not because I was the best photographer, but because they trusted me. And through that, I was able to build the skill and build the portfolio, learn from them things, and then continue to elevate. So I definitely think that my social light-esque personality definitely aided to that, but I think that it also hinders me because, bro, I feel like it's hard for me to find a relationship because everybody's always in my face. I remember I was dating a girl and she was like, you got a lot of girls that you call sister. It's a lot of girls around you. And I'm like, yeah, like they my sisters, like, you know? She's like, but like, and I'm like, what you mean? But like, and I'm like, this is me. And then it was like, okay, well, that's a problem. And it's like, now as I'm getting older, it's like,
how do you establish those boundaries?
Exactly. So being a socialite or being so involved in the social scene, it can help business, but it can kind of hinder personal, you know? So I'm trying to figure all of that stuff out now.
I feel like most people I've spoken to that are facing this dilemma at the age that we at in our 20s, most people are choosing business over like the personal side. I feel like, you know, we could save the personal for later. What's your thoughts on that?
It's tough because I feel like I'm starting to any of my friends could tell you that if there was one thing that I value most in this world, it's love.
Yeah.
Being loved by a person, being able to love a person, and just seeing how that evolves and develops you. I remember my one brother who was in the car driving late night, and he was like, bro, you know, if there was one thing that I could wish for you, it's that you could experience true love.
Yeah, you deserve it.
Yeah, bro, and I hope by God's grace that I get to experience, you know, when the time is right, but I think there was a point in time where I valued it so much that I was forcing it. I was looking for it, and where it didn't exist, I allowed my mind to believe that it did because I just wanted it.
Right.
And now I'm at the point where it's like, when God deems it time, that's when I'll indulge in it.
Right.
But for right now, the only certain thing is my business. That's what God is telling me right now. This is what you need to focus on. So I think that it's not really my choice.
And the way I look at things too, bro, is like, I saw you from the time period that you were at Temple, which was not that long ago, to like now. Like, it might be something better for you that you might not even realize, bro. Like, cause you're gonna get to a whole new level, and I'm seeing it steadily. We both are. Everybody around us, like, that's putting in the work. You could see them, like, yo, he becoming one of them ones, like, right before our eyes. So I feel like you deserve that, and whoever you choose, like, they got to be one of the ones too. So it might take a little bit more work for you to get to that level.
And that's the thing, bro. I'm not willing to settle. Like the way that I was in the past when I just wanted to kind of fabricate it for myself. I needed to be authentic. And for it to be authentic, the person that it's coming from has to be authentic, but they also have to want to give it to me.
Right.
You know, so whoever I'm with, like, respectfully, they do have to be one of them ones. Like, and I was telling Jess, I was like, I think that I value the aesthetics and the art of social media and content creation so much. Whoever I'm with has to also, you know, you see the content creation couples and stuff like that. It's like, you got to understand that. You got to understand why.
It's a whole different thing.
Exactly.
And most couples I see that are within that realm of things, they both operate in that space under some capacity.
Exactly.
And I want to clear this up for the viewers, bro. When I say, like, your partner got to be one of them ones, I'm not saying in the sense of, like, the same status or popularity. That's not what I'm saying, or even like the same money. I more so mean like how they've cultivated their character.
Right.
Like they have a perspective that, you know, is theirs to own, that they value. They have their own set of morals that keep them grounded.
Exactly.
When it comes to their purpose, they're walking in their purpose. Like I feel like in our generation, bro, at this age frame that we at, it's hard to come by that.
100%.
Like somebody that just know what they want to do and like they're taking steps actively to like walk toward that. So I just wanted to clear that up. I think that's important because in my journey, like I feel like, bro, I've dated people that had more money than me. I dated girls that didn't. That were super popular, girls that weren't.
Right.
And I feel like every time I chased that image of like, I need a Michelle Obama type joint next to me. Like I feel like it never really worked out because I forsake a lot of the character thing. So I just pass you that advice. I don't even know if you asked, but just the character is very important. And somebody told me this, like, me and you are similar in the aspect of like, we put our hearts on the line.
100%.
And we love real hard.
Yeah.
And one of my mentors told me like, Demonte, like this quality that you have, it's innate. Like you being a giver, you being a lover, that's who you are at your core. If you strip all your accolades and things of that nature, that's gonna still be Demonte. You're still gonna be the same in that aspect.
Right.
And when you come across people, bro, and they show you who they are, it don't matter what kind of cultivating you try to do or to build them up. When they show you that thing at the core, like, oh, you mean-spirited.
Yeah.
Oh, you envious.
Yeah.
Oh, you got jealous tendencies. Bro, you gotta like really believe that. And I know we be wanting to see the best in people, so we'd be like, no, but they got X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
But that thing is always, you're gonna keep coming back to
That's
that,
your
bro.
foundation.
So I just pass that to you. Like, don't ignore that.
No, that's I appreciate that too, because there was a point in time where I was ignoring it.
Yeah.
To try and like, I would like create narratives to just be like, yeah, no, like, I know you said that, but like, I don't think you meant it. Like, you know, it was the heat of the moment, and you know, but it's like, no, like that's who you are.
That's who they are,
and like,
bro.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But that person doesn't align with me, nor do I need to allow that in my space. You feel me? So I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
So I didn't know we was gonna talk about relationships, but we did. I ain't mad at it.
Hey, listen, because that's a whole,
It is, bro. One thing, this is the last thing I'll say on this topic, is that I've seen the benefits of having a partner. Like at this stage in my life, I'm about to be 28 in a couple weeks, bro. Like the way I've been able to focus, like when you dating, bro, and you like trying to tend to a whole bunch of people, there's no way that you could give 100% of yourself to your business.
Fact.
Something always gonna be forsaken. So I've noticed that since I've been with my partner, like everything around my business has been able to be more streamlined and just a lot more focused and a lot more intentional, because I know when I leave the house, Like, in these hours that I'm allotted away from my partner and my son, like, it's just strictly business. Like, this is what I need to do. Or when it comes to somebody investing in things that you want to do, even if it's not monetarily, just like taking time to be like, I saw this, I think this could benefit you, blah, blah, blah. Like, the power of a good partner, bro, I just think like it will make everything around your business so much better and more streamlined. And I think like you just got to be ready for that level of maturity and commitment.
Yeah.
But I will say that too, like, people wasn't lying when they say like, the right partner can really like empower you and push forward everything that you do.
And I'm glad that you're experiencing that, bro, because, we've had conversations about, relationships and stuff like that. And you saying that, like, it just confirms the yearning that I have for that. Because, bro, like, anybody could tell you, anybody in my inner circle could tell you, bro, like, that is something that I want. Just because it's like, I've been able to come so far as a person. I've done the work. I'm able to, analyze and critique. But I mean, not help, but I give advice where I can to all my friends in relationships. And I'm like, yo, like, I understand how this is supposed to be. I understand how to love somebody, how to care for someone, and how to compromise and coexist with someone that you care about. So it's like, at what point do I get to experience it? Like, when can I make this real? And it's like, sometimes I question, like, is it gonna happen for me? But it's like, I'm telling myself nowadays, stop questioning and asking God and claim instead. Like, claim what He has done. So as I'm telling myself, like, it's coming. Just keep doing the work and be ready for when that time comes. But bro, like, there's nothing more that I want because I feel like the way that I love and care about a person, God instilled it in me in that manner to be able to lead a household, to care for someone and all those other kind of things. So I just can't wait for the day that I'm able to really step into that purpose.
Your time gonna come, bro.
Thank you.
Your time
I hope so.
And one thing I want to ask you on that topic is, like, we focused a lot on romantic relationships, but a person like yourself, bro, that's such a giver and, will give your last to the people that you deem worthy of that. How do you go about, cultivating your friend group and the company that you keep to where it's like, it's a good balance of people pouring into you as well? Because you keep a lot of creatives around you. I see models, I see singers, actresses, all type of people.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that, like, all the relationships, or how do you ensure that they're not on like just a need-based, basis, as opposed to like we are exchanging value to one another?
Right. That's a good question because I'm in so many different entrepreneurial and creative spaces where my services are needed. It's innate to be able to tell, like, when someone just wants to take from you, when as opposed to when someone wants to grow with you, bring you onto their team and stuff like that. And one thing that I always take note of is, how do you interact with me outside of a project or any creative kind of collaboration? Am I hearing from you when I post stuff? Am I seeing you interact with it? Are you telling me that I don't necessarily need the reassurance, but is that something that you give just because you want to give me my flowers? Like, how do you interact with me when we're not exchanging a service? And I think that one thing that I can say as it relates to my friend group is there was a point in time, because I gave so much and I loved so hard, not to say that they didn't do the same, but I always expected it in the same exact capacity that I gave. And when I didn't receive it that way all the time, because everybody is different and what they're able to give and take is different, I didn't understand it. And I felt as if they just didn't want to, they just didn't care to. But then I had to understand that you cannot, and the cliche saying of you can't expect you from everybody. And in that sense, it was like, okay, I can't expect me from everybody, but how do I mesh me with everybody? How do I start to coexist with what people can give me? And then in turn, not give them what they deserve, but give them what is comfortable for me. Because when you give them what is comfortable as opposed to give them what they deserve, one sounds like tit for tat, one sounds like a boundary. So I had to be conscious of what it was that I was given and be like, okay, I can give you this, but I'm not giving this to you because I feel like you deserve it. I'm giving this to you because I want it. And I made sure that when I gave it, I didn't expect it back. And if it came back, it was like, okay, that was nice. Don't set no expectations for that. So, and I feel like in that sense, I got my people now. Like, if a new friendship kind of cultivates itself, by all means, I'll welcome it. But I'm not out there seeking no one because I feel like I'm complete. I got everything that I need from my people and my support system I have. Like, and even like, Jess is a content creator. Jess got me into content creation. Quinn is now a model. Like, I like, admire how hard he's going with that,
Yeah.
and I can now help him being a photographer. I can help Jess with her content creation because I'm
You also went into business together, right?
exactly,
Right.
yeah. So it's like everything I need is right here.
Yeah.
Everything I need is at home. Like God has given me all the tools that I need. I just got to choose to use them.
Right.
Yeah.
So earlier you was talking about your dad purchasing a camera, and you know you taking that camera and that being like your launch pad into photography. So how did you start to build out all of those other branches of SKD? You started off with singing and went to photography. How do we get into graphic design and
Yeah.
everything else that you do?
So I feel like as I started to figure out, I always, okay, let's start here. My God-given or family-given name is Samuel.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I wanted to change it to Cameron.
Wow.
I couldn't tell you why, but I just
I can
never.
see it on you, though.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, Cameron, CJ for short. Like, bro, I had it all built out, I had it all figured out, and it was like I just didn't want to identify with Samuel for
Right.
whatever reason. I felt like the picture that the name painted wasn't one that I wanted to succumb to. But as I started to figure out who I was as a creative, it was like, okay, Samuel, Sam, I like that. But then it was like, I feel like there's a part of me that doesn't identify with that, and that needs its own entity.
Yeah.
And that's how SKD came into effect, because it was like, this is still Samuel,
Right.
but it's just a different part of him. And so as I started to build that out, it was like, okay, he's a graphic designer, he has a good eye. He's a photographer, he's really talented with light and all these other kind of things. And it was just, I wanted to keep exploring what it was that I could give to that name.
Yeah.
And so most recently with Vera, with the jewelry, I was literally scrolling on TikTok, and I saw someone packing up the orders, and they had this nice room laid out, and everything was like separated. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dang, like that's a labor of love.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of work. And I'm like, I feel like that's the missing piece, is that I don't give people that type of labor of love. There's not something that I have created
Like something tangible.
that can stay with somebody.
Right. Wow.
Everything that I do is digital. It exists within the digital space. Now I want to be able to see you and say, you see value in me because you are proudly wearing something that I have created.
That's the architecture in you.
Exactly. So, and I think that's how I started to just, it was like, okay, what is missing from SKD? Like, and that's why I think I told you that I'm working on something else.
Yeah.
And that is the last puzzle piece, because that's the personable part of it. That is like, now you get to know the person behind all of these things. So every day I just be like, what's missing? What's missing? Like, and then once I stumble upon it, it's like, okay, well, how can we get that in there?
Do you feel like where you're headed now with like making physical things, do you feel like that's the natural progression for most creatives and architects and engineers? And I ask that because when you look at Kanye, music was the main frontier. He started off making beats.
Yeah.
And then you see him go into creating sneakers. Then you see him creating fabrics. Now you see him saying that he wants to create his own sustainable communities. Same thing with Virgil. I'm not sure exactly how he started. I figure it's probably in the fabric, in the fashion space.
He was an architect.
He was architecture.
Virgil was an architect.
Again, another architect.
Yeah.
Then there's another guy that I follow. His name is Idris Sandu. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Nah, I
But
haven't.
he's another West African guy, and he was heavily connected to Nipsey. So Nipsey always told the story of like, he went to a Starbucks one day with his daughter because she had to use the bathroom. And when he went in there, he saw this guy on his laptop, and he was like manipulating things with his hands though on his laptop. And it was causing something to happen on the screen.
Okay.
So this guy went on to help Nipsey build all of his smart stores. And like sometimes on like maybe like the tag of his shirts, you could like, it had technology to where you could scan it on your phone and it'll take you to a piece of like
that's
Nipsey
tough.
memorabilia.
Okay.
And he describes himself as an architect and engineer.
Yeah.
So I'm noticing this commonality with y'all is like, with those two skill sets, architecture and engineer, if you got just one, like it gives you so much power and creativity to like assert like your vision onto the world in such a tangible way.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that commonality between all of y'all. So I just wanted to ask you, like, do you feel like that background is just like a natural progression for creating good things in the world?
I think that it creates a good foundation, but it's gonna ultimately be about, in my opinion, how you want to exist within that space.
Yeah.
If you want to exist like a typical architect and just create homes, like there's always a need for something.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you want to fulfill a need, or do you want to create your own space?
Yeah.
And I think that's just gonna come down to your hunger to be somebody.
Right.
Like, and also if if that's what God has designed for you. But I think that the most innovative people and the people who create spaces for themselves are the people that, one, don't feel like the space that was created was for them.
Wow.
And they needed to become someone in that space to be like, okay, you didn't want me here, I'll carve this out for myself and we'll see what happens with that.
So I got a couple questions with that in mind.
Okay.
The first one is, I guess, what void do you see is missing? Like in all the spaces that you operate in photography, on social media, everything that you're doing, like what do you feel like is missing that you are bringing to the table?
I think that the connection between the person providing the service and the service as well, like that trinity of the person providing the service, and then the customer or the consumer.
Yeah.
I feel like in that space, oftentimes something gets left out.
Yeah.
It's not a complete triangle. I think that people don't care the way that they say they do.
Yeah.
And if they don't, or if they do, they're not comfortable showing it.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of feels like, I do care, but I can't let people know that.
I get what you're saying.
And I think that there's a beauty in being vulnerable, not necessarily being, you don't have to share everything about your life,
Right.
but at least let people know that there is something there that you are comfortable with them knowing.
Right.
Like, I think that connections matter, and a lot of people don't see the value in them.
Yep.
They see the value in networking, but not in connecting.
Wow.
So I think that for me, my biggest thing is to connect with whoever trusts me, whoever is interested in me. Like, you need to know me in order to know that what I'm doing, even if I don't do it the best, I'm doing it with my whole heart.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people, they be like, yo, you see my work, but do I see you in your work?
Right.
You know? So I think
it's like
that's
taking that time to create that relationship.
Exactly.
And I think, like, I talk to my partner about this all the time because she's a painter. Mm-hmm. And she's been painting for a few years now, but now she's in the space of like, how do I establish my mark on my painting? So like when people see these works, no matter where they are in the world, they know this is me right here. And I'm starting to see that with you. Like, one thing I love is like when you do those grad shoots, and it'd be like the different scenes, but it'd be like the same joint. Like that's hard, bro. I really like those.
Thank you,
I want to do one day.
Listen, I'm always ready, and I feel like we talked about doing a shoot too. But it's funny that you say that because people will send me posts and they'll be like, I knew this was you before I even, and I'm like, damn.
How did that make you feel?
It's like I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
And I think up until that moment, I didn't know if I was, but I was just trusting my instinct. Like, this is, keep going this way, keep going this way. Like, and even when I shoot with people, I think I shot with Jason recently, and Jason has been working with me for a long time. And so he was hosting the OAS pageant, and I shot with him. And I was positioning him. I'm like, do this, do that, like, learning stuff. And he's like, bro, like, when did you start doing that?
Yeah.
I'm like, I need you to understand that I don't want you to just stand in front of this camera and pose. And I tell people all the time, like when they come to me, they'll be like, oh, I want to do a photo shoot, but I don't know how to pose. I'm like, I'm not asking you. I said, take it out of your mind that you got to come to me and be a model.
Yeah.
I said, come to me and be your best self and allow me to capture you in that essence.
Right.
Simple. Like, you're not coming to me trying to sign with Wilhelmina, Calvin Klein. You ain't trying to do all that. You're just trying to get your best pictures.
Right.
So let's treat it as that and let's go from there.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a dope outlook to have, bro. While you're talking, so much is coming to mind. But one thing I definitely wanted to go back to was, what skills did you gain in architecture, or even what perspective did you gain that has contributed to everything that you do now?
The biggest thing is my work ethic.
Yeah.
Because with architecture, it requires so much detail and so much like perseverance. Because when creating models, you could run out of material, something could break, and you got to start all over. And you got to tell yourself, like, yo, I have to be focused on the end goal, and not the fact that this just deterred me, but like, you got to keep going. When I was at Temple, bro, I would sleep in the architecture building for like 3 days.
Wow.
I would go home, shower, come right back. When I was doing pageant as a contestant, or even when I was coordinating it, practice would be from like 7 to 11, 7 to 12. Right after practice, I'm going straight to the architecture building, and I'm in there till 5.
Yeah.
I go home and I sleep on the couch, so it's easy for me to get up, sleep for 2 hours, and I had to go to my acting class. Then I went to the gym.
Yeah.
I went right back to the architecture building, went to practice, went back to the building. Yeah. So it was like I had to always just keep moving. And I was younger, so I could do that. But
You ain't young no more.
Yeah, nah, it's not happening. And it's like it's crazy because it's like, damn, I can't move and sustain and just have that much energy anymore. But yeah, bro, I definitely think architecture instilled a work ethic in me, and I've been doing architecture since I was 13. It was introduced to me at that boarding school. So, and even then, like I know architecture down to the drafting, like doing it by hand. But we just didn't do that at Temple. But it's a tedious art, bro.
That's what I was like getting at. Do you feel like, I wanted to know like if that was where a lot of your graphic design skills came from?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like architecture, like you have to pay attention to every single detail. Like, and I think when I started learning how to technically draft when I was in 10th grade, like I had to have so many tools and like use them. Like, okay, there was like a padded like puff that you use to just get the extra specks of the pencil dust off of there, because you don't want the pencil dust to, like, as you drawing, start smearing across the thing, like to that point where it's like you really had to pay attention to every single thing and how it was like coming together. So I think I pay attention to so many little details, like even in graphic design, like I'll design something and I'll just go add in like some fog or smoke in the background just to add a different element to it. It's things that people don't really think about. Like it's always gonna be about layering. But I definitely think that architecture, it just made my eye something like incredibly different. And it's funny that you even asked that, because I think architecture is the one thing that I don't credit myself enough in. It's something I forget that I have a degree in, because it's not a space I'm supposed to exist in. So I don't feel comfortable in it. Like I doubt myself all the time. And even at Temple, we came in, architecture undeclared, there was 100 of us. You then had to pick your discipline. For architectural design, only 40 kids made it in. I was one of 3 black kids within that 40 that made it into there. And even then, I still didn't feel like I belonged. Even though I had earned my spot, I didn't feel like I belonged. So architecture definitely, like, it exists in everything that I do, even in the structure of this ring.
That's what I was saying.
You know? Like, but I don't think about it, because a black guy as an architect, like, it happens, but is it supposed to? Do they want that to happen? So it's like, because I'm not comfortable existing in that space, I kind of forget that I am in that space.
You was already an architect before you had architect major, because a lot of the skills and just the way that you see the world, it was already in you. So it was it's like you found a perfect marriage between like your personal passions and then like your interests, and it kind of just merged into the two. But I can't see you doing nothing else, bro.
I don't think I would want to. I don't think bro, and I think about it all the time. Like, what if I just, and like, this is not a diss to anybody that works a regular job, but I be looking at them and I'm like, you're not happy. Like, and not that I wouldn't want to have a regular job. I wouldn't want to be doing something that I'm not happy with, which is why I had to leave my job, because it's like, I'm not happy doing this. So it's like, if I'm not happy, why am I doing this? I'm doing this to sustain myself. If I'm doing this and I'm not happy and I'm doing it to sustain myself, then I'm not doing this for the right reasons, because God is going to sustain me. He's going to provide a way no matter what. So do not indulge in what does not serve you. So
I want to ask you, bro, like, what gave you the confidence to quit your 9 to 5 and just go all in on yourself? Like, what gave you the confidence to bet on you like that?
I didn't have the confidence at first. And Jess, she made this move, I think, over a year ago. She quit her job, like, on the spot, and went into content creation full time. And I watched her do it, and I'm like, wow, like, the things that she's accomplished in that space, bro, like, it's incredible. And, like, you know, I don't want to tell her business, but she called me one day. I was having a terrible day, and I hadn't told anybody. My day was terrible because of everything that I tried to pack into it. I didn't take time to eat. I didn't take time to sleep. I was forgetting things left and right.
All the self-care stuff we was talking about at the beginning.
Everything went out the window, bro, and people texting me like, hey, are my pictures done? I'm like, shoot, I forgot. And she texted me. She said, hey, I need to talk to you. I'm like, on top of the day I'm having, what could you possibly need to talk to me about? And she called me later, and she was like, it's not gonna be long, it's nothing bad, but God has put it on my heart for a few days to tell you that you need to slow down. And that what you're doing is not glorifying him. And it was crazy that she said that, because I did not tell her about the day that I had or the weekend that I had. But what I immediately took from that was, God told her to tell you that, and then look at the past weekend that you just had and say, this is gonna be your life if you don't listen to me now. So it's not necessarily that I had the confidence, but I had to have discernment and trust that you need to listen to this right now. Like, there's no other time but then right now to listen to it. So The following week I fasted because although I heard it from Jess, I needed to go through it myself.
Yeah.
I fasted, and being like growing up, I fasted. My mom told me it was something I was supposed to do, but I didn't see the significance of it, if I'm being honest. So I was like, okay, I know I'm about to make a life-changing decision. I know I'm supposed to fast. Let me fast. I told myself, I said, I don't know what this fast is gonna do, but whatever. Bro, that entire week, the ways in which God spoke to me through sermons, through people, through the I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like, and it was all confirmation that I was doing the right thing.
Right.
So within that fast is how I gained the confidence. Going into it, it was just like, okay, I know I'm supposed to trust God. I know I'm supposed to do this. Like, let's just do it. But then afterwards, I was like, oh, come on now. There's no other option.
Yeah.
So I didn't have the confidence at first, but I gained it through just kind of going with God. Not going with the flow, going with God.
Was there anybody that you consulted for this decision, like your parents? Friends?
I did talk to my parents, and I was scared because Africans, like you telling them that you're not about to have a job, it's like, and I told them
have a plan.
Exactly. And I told my mom, and she was in the car with my dad, and she was like, it was just so, she was like, okay, if that's what you feel like you gotta do.
Yeah.
I was like, that's it? She's like, yeah. I was like, I'm a fast. She was like, okay. I was like, you don't care? She's like, she said, do what you want to do. Do what you feel like you're supposed to be doing. Like, she said, obviously make the best decision. Like, don't do it blindly. But if you think this is where you're supposed to go, then go there. I'm like, okay, shit. All right.
You gotta tell me twice.
Yeah, I ain't gonna force you to change your mind.
So you consulted your parents.
Yeah.
And then like, what does that process look like from then? Like, once your mind is made up, like, all right, I'm really doing this. Like, what steps do you take after that?
I started kind of like, I don't want to say rebranding myself, but trying to figure out, okay, if you're now going to have time to do this full time, you need to have a fully realized concept of what you're going to be as a content creator, and like, what is your content going to be about now that you have time to create more? You don't have to just do the cooking videos when you're cooking because you need to eat, or you don't have to just do the day in the life vlogs because you got a busy day. It's like, you now have time to sit in front of a camera and talk. What is it that you're going to say? What do you want people to understand and know about you? So it was like, that was my first step, was you need to fully realize how you're going to exist in this space now. And then it was obviously like putting in my 2 weeks, leaving the job and stuff like that, but then starting to invest in myself financially, getting my new camera. I got a new light setup. Like, I got all the things that I needed that I wasn't willing to spend the money on before. But it was like, okay, now that this is going to be my life, I have to make that investment. I have to be fully committed. Like, I can't just put my 1 foot in there, test the waters, just kind of swim around in there. And then it's like, no, you need to jump in and fully immerse yourself in it. So
what I think was most important about what I just heard was the idea phase of like thinking about what you wanted to be and how you were going to exist in that space going forward. And I feel like for a lot of people, even myself, like I think about that all the time. Like, if I had more time to dedicate to this full time, like, what would that look like? And I know exactly what I want to do, but I keep giving myself like these markers of like, this is when I'll leave my 9 to 5. So I feel like I'm on the way to that point. I'm not quite there yet, but I think for viewers that may be in a similar predicament as you, I think the way that you explained that was perfect. And if you don't mind sharing, bro, I just want you to kind of like give an overview of like how you compartmentalized like your plan going forward. Because I see now that you've been saying like, you've been focusing more on photography as like the main avenue. So I didn't know if that was a large part of that thinking, but if you could explain it, I would love that.
I like to think, okay, in my head, there's cameras following me all the time. So everything exists within eras, series, chapters, all those different things. So right now, photography is what is just coming to the forefront. But in the background, when the camera goes off, we still working on everything else. It's just not for everybody to see yet. So the way that I go about, because I have so much going on, I prioritize based off of what needs you right now. In this particular season, photography needs me. There's so many people coming to me to do a grad shoot, maternity shoots, engagements, all those things. It's like, okay, that needs you right now. Jewelry and stuff, it can wait to come to the forefront. I haven't put anything on my jewelry page since February because I'm starting to transition from jewelry into accessories. So there are now more things that I need to become aware of before I just say, I'm a connoisseur. I indulge in these things. I need to understand them fully.
Right.
So now, once I put the photography camera down and I go home, I'm now doing research. I'm talking to manufacturers. I'm talking to people who exist in those spaces already and figuring out what it is that I need to do.
Yeah.
So I'm getting the full idea of what it is before I insert myself into it.
Right.
So I just make sure I understand what it is that I'm getting myself into, and I say, okay, how can I make that me?
Do you feel like because you have so many entities attached to you, do you feel like it makes it easier for you to like not post on a Vero page since February? Because I feel like for most people, they might feel like this sense of urgency all the time. Like if you got one entity that's basically like your whole ecosystem. Let's say like for me, it might be podcasting.
Yeah.
I do other things, but this is like what I really want to do. When I don't post for a month or 2 months, people hit me up like, yo, you good? Like, where's the last episode? It's been a little minute.
Right.
So do you feel like because you have so many different entities, it makes it easier for you to be like, all right, this was grad season. Now grad season over, I could jump in and, you know what I mean?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I think it's more so an ego thing in the sense of, because I haven't posted on Vero, I feel like people may think that it failed.
Yeah.
That it's not going nowhere and that I just kind of gave up on it.
Yeah.
And I always have to tell myself that, and it's kind of like, I kind of feed into the ego a little bit in the sense of I tell myself like, if somebody does think that, they can think that because I know that when I come back, it's going to be major.
Right.
So it's like, I kind of had to like live in a delusion, a deluded sense of reality in the sense of everybody's waiting for you to come back.
Yeah.
They wondering what's going on. But it's like, if you wait and let me make sure that when I come back the
I
right
don't think
way.
that's delusion though. Maybe a little.
Yeah.
But I think like it's a healthy level of delusion because we are waiting. Like the people that support you, like we are definitely waiting. And I see that myself. Like when I go for a little bit, I'm thinking similarly to you, bro. Like it's a bunch of people that I could work with and just make an episode just to put content out.
Right.
But because I'm doing it in a way that's like spiritually led, like I have to really resonate with you as a person and your brand. Maybe it won't always be like that as I scale and get bigger.
Yeah.
But for now, everybody that's been on my podcast, like I carefully selected that person because I admired something within them.
Right.
So if I can't give y'all an episode like that, where my heart is not in it, because you're going to see it on the camera. I can't fake my energy. It's hard to do that.
Right.
I got to get the people that I love and be like, no, like, I'm interested in this story. I feel like more people should know.
Right.
So sometimes it might take me a month or 2 months to find that person. And I just know I'm like, when I do come back, my quality got to be A1.
Exactly.
Because they've been waiting all this time.
Yeah.
So I think that we both have that, like, that thing in mind. I think that's a good quality to have.
And I think that it's allowed me to see the success that I've had. Like, bro, when I dropped the jewelry brand, everybody was like, what? Like,
It fit you though.
And I'm like, bro, like, it makes sense, but it was like, I can't just make an Instagram and post a logo and then just be like, stay tuned. They're like, nah, my photo shoot need to be done. My promo video need to be done. My logo, I need to have the pieces ready. Like everything got to be done before I bring it to you because once it's on, it's on. Like, and it's no, it's no backing up from that. So I feel like that just helped me in every other facet. Like once it was time to go, like go behind the scenes, take your time, figure it out, figure exactly what you want the people to recognize and notice as, because that's gonna be the thing that draws them to you. Once they see an identity that they can identify with or admire, it's all in marketing, and I feel like people don't understand that. Like I've seen so many businesses, and I've helped so many businesses through like my logo creation. And I'm like, how do you want this to be seen? How do you want this to be viewed? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, you might need to take some more time to figure that out because I can't help you represent that if you don't know what you want this to represent. Like that, and that's just the fact of the matter. So, that just, I don't know. I feel like that was a long-winded answer, but basically, like, just know what it is that you want to be in that space.
No, that was a phenomenal answer, and I feel like the people listening, they gained a lot from that. So I wanted to ask you, bro, like, out of all the spaces that you exist in, this is probably gonna be hard, but like, what thing is your favorite to do? Like, which one do you get the most joy out of?
My favorite is probably photography. And I think because it's my favorite because it's probably the one thing that I get to really see the reaction of people and how it's affected them, and how they love seeing, like people always be like, I hate taking pictures, but I love how you took these pictures of me. And it's like, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear that I made you love yourself more, or I made you see something in yourself that was like, oh, I didn't know that. I could
do that.
And it's like, I love helping people get there. And it's crazy because I don't think that photography is the most important one to me. I think the most important one to me is music.
Wow.
And that's probably the one that I do the least because I don't feel like I have the impact on people that I have in every other facet. And it's like, if I don't have that impact yet, I'm not that confident or comfortable in my delivery and the things I have to say. And people tell me all the time, like, they love the music, but it's like, I don't have the impact that I want to have.
Yeah.
And so until I do, I'm gonna just keep figuring out. But photography, full steam ahead. Like,
what do you feel like has been the biggest difference in offering yourself and your services in the digital space to now offering a physical product, tangible product? What do you feel like has been the biggest difference?
I think that the biggest difference is people are more willing to trust the digital than they are the physical.
Yeah.
I think because the physical needs to come with more of a...
Why are we talking about you like AI?
I know, right? But the physical the physical kind of need to be vetted out.
Right.
And especially as it pertains to jewelry, bro, people can get it for cheaper.
Right.
Or they can get a better name brand for the same price.
Right.
So it's like, it's harder to try to establish a name when you have so much competition, and then also everyone sees a different use for it. And I had to tell myself, like, when I wasn't selling out of my collections, it was like, okay, well, jewelry is something that people are going to always need.
Right.
So you need to have it on hand, as opposed to just selling out. People hit you up and you don't have it, because I feel like people are just now starting to realize the value in it. But I need to keep putting it in your face so that you understand that what I have is also valuable in the jewelry space. But I feel like with photography, people see a nice picture, say, okay. But you see jewelry, you're like, oh, well, is this gonna make my finger green?
Right.
Can I wear this in the shower?
Right.
You know, what kind of metal is this?
Right.
Where'd you get this from? Oh, but why is it this much? It's like there's so much that people are critiquing when it comes to that.
So it's like, it's just gonna take you time, just like with photography, to build up that brand trust and that brand awareness. Feel you.
Yeah.
So before we go, bro, I just want to recap this for the viewers. We got architecture. We got graphic design.
Yeah.
We got photography.
Yeah.
We got social media content creation.
Yeah.
And then we got jewelry. So
That's crazy.
we stepping into 5 different entities.
Yeah.
And it's probably more. We got singing too.
I had a theater minor in college.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
If when I was thinking about like what else I could see you doing, it wasn't exactly theater. I don't know why I just envisioned like an orchestra. And I envisioned you like
See, I tried to learn piano. I got kicked out.
Damn.
Yeah, she ain't like me.
We're going to go into that like, a whole different time. But I guess like as we wrap, bro, was there any other stories or anything that you wanted to highlight before I let you go?
Nah, I feel like I didn't know what you was going to throw at me.
Yeah.
But I feel like everything, it was perfect in a sense, because I feel like these are all things that I want people to know about me. And so I think that you did a great job. And I think, well, one, thank you for having me on here, and I feel like I always tell you this, but we never really had an actual conversation. But I don't know if you remember how we met, but I think you were on Smooth and I was on BSU, and we like co-hosted a program. And as I'm looking at you, I'm like, this guy is somebody. Like you just had a aura about you, and I instantly like admired it. And to me, and I don't tell a lot of people this, but the people that I admire, I seek relationships with primarily through what I can bring to them, so that they understand like this is a person of value.
You my Swiss Army knife, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Whenever I think of something for my brand, I be like, yo, I gotta co-sign. It's crazy how that progressed from us just leading the program together.
Exactly.
At Temple. But yeah, I agree, bro. Since that time period, the more and more I saw what you do, I feel like I have a gift in the way I get to see people talent before maybe the world do. And that's why I love having a podcast, because I get to see it. And they might not be known now to the world, but it's like I could bring somebody on here to tell their story. And then when they get big, like I believe all y'all will, people will be able to go back to this as one of their first. So I saw your talent too, bro. And I knew that I'm like, I gotta be cool with him. And anybody that I know that I feel like could benefit from your service, I'd be like, yo, you gotta follow my boy Sam. I'd be hoping that it don't take away from my access. But at the same time, I just be like, I can't gatekeep the information.
Nah, bro. So. And that's the thing like about it is like, because I value the experience and the connection so much, like y'all always gonna, bro, I don't do graphic design no more. And you know, we just talked about something. I'm like,
He gonna do graphic design for me forever.
I'm like, I don't do it no more, but it's like, I gotta take care of the people that was there with me from the start.
Yeah.
Bro, Young Miami said this. She was like, yeah, I love Chick-fil-A, I love Chick-fil-A, I love McDonald's. I remember who I started with. And it's like, I keep that in mind.
Right.
It's like, remember who you started with.
Respect.
It's better is always gonna come, bro. Bigger might come, but it's like, I gotta make sure whoever I started with, because I believe that you grow based off of like who believes in you.
Yeah.
Like by y'all getting my name out there, that's the only way that I get the clients that I do, So it's like, I gotta take care of y'all because y'all taking care of me.
Yeah.
It's a two-way thing, bro.
Well, I appreciate you, bro. This was phenomenal.
Yes,
and like,
sir.
I tried to come into this with a loose plan.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted it to be like a conversation.
Yeah.
I really wanted you to feel like it was more like a check-in, like brother to brother, friend to friend.
100%.
Where you had the space to like pop your stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was appreciated.
Yeah,
So,
you did it perfectly.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time.
Yes,
Tell the
sir.
people like how they could keep up with you and everything you got going on.
You can follow me on all social media at From SKD. It might be From SKD with 2 Ds or just From SKD, but we on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We gonna be on YouTube real soon. That's all I'm gonna say. And then obviously my photography page is SKD the brand, and my jewelry page is Virile VIRILE jewelry. So yeah, we all over though.
SKD is everywhere. Once you
sir.
type that in, it's gonna pop up, yo. So
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate y'all for watching all the time. Y'all know where y'all can find me. Same handle on Instagram, YouTube, failingforward.co. On YouTube, Failing Forward with Monte. Personal Instagram, I am Tate Loso. Keep up with me and everything we got going. We got some really good content coming soon. Love y'all and peace.
Yes, sir. Peace out, y'all.
That was great. Bro.
Investing all
I
our
love
dollars and hoping that freedom reigns. It's hard being us, but the talents cover the pain. Make it to the lead, but we still don't own the game. Way too many souls are tainted behind the fame. The parties in private mansions, they exchange some drinks. Corrupt the things you think. Your life changing a blanket, and nothing seems the same. All these curses, your value to your spouse is measured by some purses. Preach religion to our youth and make them think it's working.